Welcome to Backseat Directing.
where we talk about movies, shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew,
and Aaron.
today we're going to be talking about Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Let's get to it.
Okay, so today we are going to dive into our thought process on the Marvel Cinematic Universe 5th phase that's coming up. It's about to kick off with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania next year. So we're going to kind of talk about our thoughts on what's upcoming, what we're excited to see, what we think of the MCU in general, do some recap on the previous phases of the MCU, and Aaron, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit that got announced at Comic-Con last month. So starting off, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Realm. Then we go into TV show, Secret Invasion, movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Echo, the show, Season 2 of Loki, The Marvels, I believe is a movie, Blade, movie as well, Ironheart, it's a show,
I believe that's correct. Can confirm that one.
Agatha, Coven of Chaos is a show, Daredevil Born Again is a show I'm excited for, Captain America New World Order movie, and then Thunderbolts to wrap up Phase 5 of the MCU, and I believe that one is a show as well. All of these shows, of course, coming out on Disney Plus. Man, they are pushing out content. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I just lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12 things that they released for Phase 5 over the next 2 years. So that's a lot of stuff that's coming out. In comparison, Phase 1 has 3, 4, 5, 6. So
Yeah, wow.
double what it has.
Yeah. And it seems like Echo, Ironheart, and Thunderbolts are all going to be TV shows. So they are really doubling down on their plan with the TV shows. We're getting a lot of series on Disney Plus, which builds up their Disney Plus platform, gives incentive to have that membership to watch their shows. It does a lot for them, but it's a
It's
lot.
kind of easier to consume too, you know,
You
because
can take it an episode at a time.
well, not only that, but it's like what, I don't even know how much it is, $12 a month at the
Yeah.
most, you know, to watch, and then you get to watch all of these shows and whatnot. Like a lot of the movies before, you'd go see them in theaters. If you really liked it, maybe you watched it again in theaters, and then you had to wait forever for it to come out on DVD or Redbox or something.
Yeah.
And then you finally got to watch it, but you'd have to rent it. But now it's just, you get it so fast.
Yeah, it sweetens the deal. It's a lot of entertainment at not a lot of cost, especially if you like the shows. It's very worthwhile.
And not only is it a lot of entertainment, it's a lot of new storylines that we're getting in this phase, more so than any other phase to this point, obviously besides the first phase that introduced all these characters.
Also, obviously, Disney Plus is not a sponsor of the show.
Yeah.
They don't know we exist. So
As
nobody
a lot
knows
of
we
yeah.
exist. Not yet, anyway.
That's right.
They will.
Stay tuned.
So we're gonna start with looking back on what's come up to this point.
Yeah, we can do that.
So we'll start kind of looking back on phases 1 through 4, which
Yeah, let's just start with phase 1, kicking off with Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, the First Avenger, and then wrapping that phase up with the Avengers, which was a spectacle where we have all these heroes on screen, and that was pretty cool to watch in theaters. That was the first movie that the audience experience was different than any other movie. You know, the theater that I was in, like everyone was cheering, everyone was laughing at specific parts of the movie, which up until that point I've never experienced in a theater before.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you talk about the amount of movies in phase 1 being shorter. There's also the amount of characters, because
Yeah.
basically, especially solo movie wise, they're focused around 4 characters. So you've got Iron Man, Hulk, you've got Captain America, and Thor. Whereas now looking at the page here for Phase 5, it's like 20 plus characters. I
Yeah.
mean, all
You do also in Phase One have obviously Black Widow, Hawkeye, but they don't have their own movies, and their story arc hasn't developed as much at this point in
Yeah.
time.
I think they're sharing a lot more screen time with these co-stars in these other movies. Like Ant-Man and the Wasp now has that series now has Wasp in the name of the title.
Hmm.
So it's it's a lot of big names and faces on screens now. Like it's this their universe has really expanded in a big way. But I mean,
What did you think of the first Iron Man when it first came out? Did you know that this was going to be leading into something bigger than itself? Or because when I first watched it, I had no idea what the Avengers were
yeah.
and what was to come.
Not to say that I watched Iron Man 2008 and was like, "Oh, this movie is not that good," but I mean, obviously I thought it was great, but I never watched it and thought it could do this. It could spawn what we are looking at now because it kind of like, even in a way, changed media. Like Disney, when people say Disney owns entertainment, like half of that is the MCU.
Hmm.
I mean, the MCU is such a huge part of like modern culture and movies and shows now. I definitely would have never said I'd never say that I called it that I watched Iron Man
Yeah.
and had an idea that it would be
I
this.
remember watching it. I watched it at my house. I didn't even see it in theaters. I watched it with my parents, and I remember thinking it was really cool, but I wasn't like, oh, that movie was amazing. Like I thought it was really cool. I, of course, really enjoyed the way they captured the suit being put on and all that stuff, and his first flight and all that. I thought it was super cool. And then I kind of found out after the fact that like, oh, this is kind of part of something else, the Avengers. Like, okay, cool, whatever. And then of course the Incredible Hulk comes out really quickly after, and I don't even remember the first time watching it. Do you?
No,
Yeah, and I remember again, same thing. I thought it was cool. I liked the aggression that he had and all that stuff. I liked the battle that he had with the character, from Bruce and the Hulk, and
yeah,
that he was didn't like the Hulk, and that he was trying to learn how to control it and stuff through breathing and all this other stuff.
I really like the scene in that movie where he transforms in that long hallway. I think it's at a school.
Mm,
But he comes jumping out the glass and they blast him with those
yeah,
sonic cannons, and that whole sequence is really awesome. That
yeah,
movie has some good gold in it, for how little attention it gets.
yeah. I did like the face structure of that Hulk. Like he looked like a Hulk.
Yeah.
Like scary and angry.
I like Edward Norton. I know he's probably not a popular favorite Bruce Banner, and I don't know that I would ever say he's my favorite Bruce Banner, but I really like him as an actor, so I like to just see him in things, and I
Yeah.
enjoyed watching him in that movie.
I think he was just hard to work with, is why they ended up firing him because I was reading something about or watching something about him earlier this week actually, and he seems to really dive into the character that he's working
So
on.
he was just smashing things on set. He was like,
But
Edward
no, I
smash.
think he's been known to like come in and change scripts and all that stuff. And the MCU, just Marvel at the time, they just wasn't having it, and they fired him. Um, but yeah, Iron Man 2, I thought was super cool. The evolution of how he put the suit on, um, and
I missed that in the MCU.
yeah,
Tony, when you know Tony's going to show up in a new movie and have a
yeah,
new and better suit and a cool way to put it on.
yeah. And I feel like a lot. I've seen like people like make fun of how long it took him to put the suit on before, but like that's part of what's cool about it. And then it is cool to see his progression over the shows and over the years of how the suit eventually just ends up whoop, popping up onto him.
Man, I miss Tony. I could go on and on about how much I miss Tony.
R.I.P. Thor was good. I mean, it was right.
I like Thor 1 more upon rewatches. The
Yes,
first
I
Thor.
like I like. It was a lot more grounded than any of the other Thors, which because it mainly took place on Earth, for a character that's lives in space, you know. Um, but yeah, I I liked it. I thought Chris Hemsworth was good. I kind of liked the stiffness in the character. I know a lot of people
He's royalty.
didn't. I thought that was a cool aspect about him because he was different from everyone else in the MCU, you know? Um,
I think that um, I think that movie doesn't necessarily get as much credit as it deserves in the grand scheme of things in the MCU because I find it funny, entertaining. I think it has really good action. I think there's a huge drawback in the movie in the fact that I don't like the trope in movies of taking away the hero's power, which happens in a bunch of superhero movies. I get that
mhm.
it's a subplot that people find interesting, but it's kind of like you said when we talked about She-Hulk is that, well, what you said Kevin Feige said. If I go to watch a Thor movie, I want to see Thor. I don't want to see Donald Blake or whatever. I don't want to see
Yeah,
him stripped of his powers and walking around as a man in a t-shirt, which is like a lot of that movie. He is not Thor. He's just a
yeah,
guy.
yeah. It's different approaches, you know? I mean, going in Captain America First Avengers is kind of the same thing. I mean, for half the movie, even when he got the serum, he still wasn't Captain America yet. You know, like he kind of didn't become Captain America really until the third act.
I like that progression better though, because it wasn't him losing his powers,
Right.
because
It was
it's
it's him
trending up.
gaining his powers. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's a good origin story too that I've grown to like more the more that I've watched it.
yeah. It's been a
And
while since I've seen that one.
I like Hugo Weaving. He's
Yeah.
just fun to see on screen.
And then that all, of course, comes together for the Avengers in 2012. Um, what do you think?
I think that I heard someone say that that the MCU is full of peaks, and that they peak and then they keep peaking. So they basically keep reaching new highs. And I think that Avengers 2012 is a super special movie because it's the first place they peaked.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the first place we were all rushing to the theater to see what the hype was about. And that movie brought together all these characters in a way that you wouldn't think they'd be able to do. You'd say they have too many main characters, this ensemble cast isn't going to be able to pull it off, in the
I
superhero
I
genre.
really I really liked how they picked kind of unknown actors for all these roles, you know, because then you're not thinking of them as anything else but who they are,
I would
you know.
say unknown might be a little strong, but I know what you mean. I would say besides Robert Downey Jr., maybe most of them
I
weren't
guess I'm
household
thinking more of
names.
like Thor and Loki. Um,
They weren't necessarily A-listers. They weren't
right.
like the superstars they are
Yeah.
today for
And
sure.
like Chris Evans was a good actor
Yeah.
too, but he didn't have any like grand slams at that point,
Well,
did he?
I was thinking of his role as Johnny Storm, which I know that's not. I mean, it's a blockbuster movie though. I'm sure it made
Yeah.
a good amount and got a lot of attention for him.
But
But
was anyone in that movie like Chris Evans? Oh my gosh, you know, like that movie was great.
I was. Do you see how handsome that guy was?
Yes, yes. Um, this movie's budget for the Avengers, $220 million, and it brought in 1.5 billion.
Jeez. I
So
mean, it's kind of.
that's a lot.
I mean, 220 million, 300 million. That's kind of what I feel like they're still running at for a lot of that seems like what they're running at for some of their solo movies nowadays. But it's just interesting that they spent that much and made such a humongous profit on the ensemble movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Moving kind of quickly through these first phases because I really want to kind of go into phase five. But phase two, we got starting to back off with Iron Man. He's definitely kind of the glue of the MCU at this point. He's had the most movies, most appearances. And then we go into Thor, The Dark World, Captain America, Winter Soldier. That was on my top five comic book movies. Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, Age of Ultron, and then ending with Ant Man. It's kind of weird that they ended with
yeah,
Ant Man, right? It kind of
yeah,
feels out of place after the big Avengers peak again, you know, and then they
yeah.
drop back down to Ant Man.
So that phase doesn't have an Avengers movie in it.
No, it does. Avengers Age of Ultron.
Okay, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
I missed that one. So I am of the opinion that an Avengers movie should be in every phase. So but just
We'll
keep
get there.
that in
Yeah,
mind
we'll
going
get
into the next.
there. But in this one, Thor Dark World, I like that movie. It's been a while since I was watching it. We were already talking about this, that uh, I don't understand why it's so hated to the point where it's like, man, I need to rewatch this and see what I was missing. and maybe it'll change my opinion, maybe it won't. But I enjoyed the movie the first time that I watched it, but it's been a long time. Captain America: Winter Soldier we already talked about in previous another episode. I think
Just to protect myself, I don't enjoy Thor: The Dark World, so don't lump me in with him if you're listening to this.
yeah. um, Guardians of the Galaxy I thought was really good, especially because like I didn't know anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, it was kind of like I remember kind of going into that movie like, is this connected to the Avengers? Like I don't
Yeah.
really know.
The way I feel about Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of that I enjoy the movies and I think they're loads of fun. Like they're tons of fun, just a good time at the theater. But I don't feel like anything special towards any of the individual Guardians. So I just don't feel that attached to any of those characters the way I would have felt to more like an Iron Man, Captain America, Thor.
Why is that? You think?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not as attached to the way the characters are written. Maybe it's because they started out as an ensemble, so I didn't feel like I got any one-on-one connection with them. But I love the cast. I mean, they're like they're very funny. I mean, you've got Vin Diesel in there as a talking tree. You've got Bradley Cooper, who is amazing as Rocket. Zoe Saldana. You've got Dave Bautista and Chris Pratt. I mean, that is a phenomenal cast on paper. That's great. I love all those actors
I
and
think in the
actresses.
show it's great too.
I think it's great too. It's just
I liked it. I think it
if I wouldn't be excited for them to announce like a Star Lord movie.
a spin-off.
Not that I wouldn't go see it because I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah.
But it's just I
I
don't feel
think I
that
would
singular
I
attachment.
think I would like them as the group better. The Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, like I don't necessarily need a Star
I am
Wars
Groot.
movie. Yeah. Avengers Age of Ultron, I feel like is the least favorite Avengers of a lot of people.
Potentially my favorite Avengers.
I really like it too. I've rewatched it a few times, and every time I watched it, I had a good time.
The fight on Sokovia is so awesome.
Yeah,
So many it's they always do these great big long battles at the end, but they're battling on like a city that's being turned into a comet that's hurtling towards the earth.
yeah,
It's I love James Spader voicing Ultron. Like that movie's great. I'll say it again, the Hulkbuster versus Hulk, such a good fight. There's so many good moments and
yeah,
the introduction of the twins, it's just and they have developed Hawkeye in that movie too, which is
yeah.
great.
He at that point in that movie, you kind of see that he's like the glue behind the scenes that keeps things running.
Yeah.
You know?
To me, that movie does one of the best jobs of balancing the humor and the action.
Yeah, yeah. I like that one too.
They toe the line.
I going back to the Guardians real quick. I liked it because they set the tone that like this is a little more goofy right away. So like it felt more natural when there was those like funny parts, you know?
I will say the Guardians movies know how to use music.
That's true.
They know how to use a song.
Yeah.
They're great at that.
This one ended with Ant-Man. I've never really been connected to Ant-Man that much. I mean, I liked the movie, but I've only seen it once.
This one ended with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No, Ant-Man.
Okay. This one ended with Ant-Man. That's what you said earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean Ant-Man is good. I mean Paul Rudd is an icon. Love
Yeah.
Paul Rudd. But the first Ant-Man is not. I wouldn't say it's something that really sucks you in. It's good. It's good.
I think it's just the character in general for me.
It's a very funny MCU movie.
Yeah. Phase 3, starting off basically with an Avengers movie. You got Captain America: Civil War. Then we go to Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers: Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers: Endgame, Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Try and tell me that that's not the best phase of the MCU.
Oh,
That's
100%.
definitely the best phase. It has 3 movies in it that are
Home
essentially
runs.
Avengers movies. Civil War is home run, Infinity War and Endgame are home runs.
Yep.
Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movies are really good. We have 2 Spider-Man movies in one phase.
Yeah, which
But-
Spider-Man is my favorite character.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see. I mean, you get to see him 3 times.
And I like Thor Ragnarok. I think it's a fun time.
I don't like it at all.
I know it's a big shift for Thor, but when I started to think of it as Thor becoming quote unquote Americanized, because he's more jokey Thor. He's less regal, less the Thor that we've known, less like the warrior king Thor. And I start to think of it as maybe it's character development for him.
Yeah, but like he's been alive for how long?
Yeah, it is kind
And
of quick for
it
him to
took him
change his
what, like
personality
12 years to change? Like
after thousands.
in thousands of years, 12 years is like what, 3 weeks for us? You know, like our personalities don't typically change that drastically.
Well, what about Omni-Man? He changed in like 17 years.
I mean, kinda, yeah, but it didn't affect, like he was still him, himself there. You know, he was just going back and forth, which I guess Thor does too, but
It feels
I
like
don't know.
really,
I think that not only the shift in the character, but a shift in the whole tone of the movie was just
yeah.
too drastic
It
for me.
feels like there's Thor and then there's Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Like those are the personalities both in Thor.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Hulk is supposed to be the one with two personalities in that movie.
Yeah.
Thor also has two
I didn't like
personalities.
how they made Bruce Banner look dumb the whole time.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I've never been a fan of when they undercut the best parts of a character, like undercutting the
yeah.
intelligence of Bruce Banner in that movie. Or there's always a moment I complain about in Thor Ragnarok where he throws the ball at the window to break it because he says that's what heroes do. Bounces back and hits him in the face. So
Yeah.
they're undercutting like the heroism of Thor, like
Right.
the best aspects of these characters. So like they play things for a joke sometimes when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I also will not complain that they're allowing individual MCU projects to be stylized to the director because
Yeah. I
that
do like that.
it's cool that they can put their touch on it. And Taika
Mhm.
Waititi is not afraid to put his touch all over the Thor movies.
Um, Black Panther, I thought was great. I mean, up to this point, it was basically just a white male lead, you know. So it's definitely cool to see a more representation. And as we get into Phase 5 later on, like
Yeah, this kind of turns the key
yeah,
for, you know, the like giving a voice, and they have Ryan Coogler directing as well. So it was just it's cool to see these stories that minority communities don't always get the chance to tell like
hmm
on the big screen, especially in that way, because that's like that these MCU movies are going into the 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 theaters and they're going in the rooms that have the most seats, so it's a way to get a big audience. So it's awesome because I feel like that's what comics were for. I feel like they were a voice for kind of people who might have felt like outcasts or might
the
have felt,
unheard.
yeah, the voice for the voiceless. Like I feel like that's kind of where they were when they started. Like
hmm
they were uplifting to kids who were bullied, or the X-Men, people will say all the time, is a metaphor for homosexuality and how people are treated differently, and
Yeah,
treated like quote unquote mutants. So like that's what I definitely agree. That's what the MCU should be for too, because it's such a beautiful thing that comics were able to do when they started and along the way they progressed.
and then on the same like note, you have Captain Marvel too. I think that's the first female lead, right,
Yeah,
of the MCU, and it's like, man, it took 3 phases to have those two
a lot of
kind of be
movies. Yeah,
introduced. So uh, I really enjoyed Captain Marvel. I thought it was a fun time. Um, I do have some complaints about Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home, but we can talk about that on another episode. Scrolling down, we got Phase 4. This is where the TV shows started kind of getting
we're gonna
implemented.
have to go through this one fast.
Yes,
Too much big
and
content explosion now.
and this is also when COVID hit, so a lot of these were produced and made during that time. So it's crazy that they were still able to get all these titles out. So we have WandaVision, The Falcon, Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Loki, What If, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Hawkeye, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Miss Marvel, Thor: Love and Thunder, She-Hulk, and then finishing with Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, soon to finish.
It's a mouthful.
Have my own theories for Black Panther, but that's for another day.
Yeah.
I have really enjoyed this phase. Like I said, I like the idea of an Avengers movie. not even necessarily an Avengers movie, but an ensemble movie being in every phase.
Yeah,
Because
we're missing that from here.
there's still a lot of interconnectedness in Phase 4. We still see it as the universe through, you know,
We see a lot of our Avengers characters, and a lot of them are mixed up.
yeah, we see Doctor Strange in Far From Home. We
Yep.
see
No Way Home.
in No Way Home. Thank you. And then we see Wanda in Doctor Strange. So we see a lot of overlap, but it's
Yeah.
not the ensemble movie that I feel like ties the universe together,
Yeah.
which we're also not getting in Phase 5, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I think this phase was missing that, but at the same time, we got so many new stories with these shows. WandaVision was a strong kickoff. I know you really liked Falcon and Winter
Yeah.
Soldier. Um, and Loki, I really liked Loki. I know you thought it was all right.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was probably my favorite series until it was probably dethroned by Moon Knight.
Yeah, I have to rewatch Falcon Winter Soldier. I think I was kind of distracted when I was watching it. You know, like I
You
think I was
should.
kind of doing other things as had it on. So I don't,
Carly's a good villain.
yeah,
Um,
I don't think I need to rewatch it to kind of get the full experience from it. Um, What If was super cool. The first animated movie that's within the MCU, and the animation style, fantastic. You
I
know, it
liked it.
looked
Yeah.
super cool, super stylized. It kind of reminded me, like, it had the comparisons to Arcane, which
Yeah.
is another fantastic
Really good
animation
show.
style show that we'll talk about in another
I
episode.
actually remember being shocked when the first episode is I don't know if it's in the beginning of it, but when Peggy Carter turns into Captain America and she's fighting all of her first fight, I remember being shocked by how good the animation was.
Yeah, it was so cool. Let's see what else. Moon Knight, I really enjoyed. Talked about before how I like when a character has multiple personalities that they're kind of fighting. Um, I thought Doctor Strange was okay. Did not like Love and Thunder, and She-Hulk just came out, so we don't fully know yet.
I liked Doctor Strange and Thor: Love and Thunder, especially the second half of Thor: Love and Thunder. I enjoyed a lot more than the first half. Doctor Strange, you know, it had Sam Raimi all over it. It's a specific acquired taste, but I'd say I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. Um, I did not like Love and Thunder. And then we have Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, that hasn't come out yet. The trailer just dropped, which the trailer looked fantastic.
Before we move on to Phase 5, though, who do you think?
Black Panther is in Phase 4.
All right, so before we dive in, what are you most looking forward to out of this
Good
list here?
question. I feel like I'm looking forward. I, I'm excited for a few, but I think the one I'm most like interested in of how they're gonna portray the character is probably Daredevil Born Again. I'm excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I like the Guardians. I really liked Loki Season 1, so I'm excited to see that. Um, I'm excited to see Falcon as the Captain America now and see how they kind of change the tone and have him come into his own character and his own version of Captain America. But I think the one that I'm most looking forward to is Daredevil. I think the original Daredevil on Netflix is by far the best superhero TV show ever. I think it's great casting, great writing. I love the dark aspect. I love the ground to earth kind of grit. It's kind of like the Batman, kind of that dark and hard hitting action, and it's pretty like gruesome. Like they don't pull their punches. So I'm excited to see how Disney Plus adapts this character and fits it into the MCU. Like, are they gonna keep that tone going, or are they gonna kind of water it down a little bit?
See, I am most nervous for Daredevil Born Again because I also really love the Netflix original series. It's a hard thing to live up to, and I don't know much about these writers that are on board. I don't know much.
I feel like I would have more confidence if it was the same writers.
I wish it was.
Yeah.
And I also am not sure how they're going to handle an 18 episode season. I believe it's 18. So it's a longer season than these shows have been used to dealing with.
Previously 13.
Yeah, I'm worried they're just going big on content because people love this character and they love the original show, and I hope they're prepared to handle the 18 episodes. But what I'm most excited for, probably looking at this list, is Blade. And I'm sure we're not going to get a rated R Blade, which I'll miss that aspect. I'm sure it'll be PG-13, but man, it's going to be cool.
See, I'm definitely curious about Blade because I've never seen Blade before. I haven't seen any of the other three
You have
movies.
to watch the original Blades leading up to this. We'll do an episode on
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
We'll watch the original trilogy, but this is going to be really great. They've got an amazing actor leading their cast. If I can pronounce this right, Mahershala Ali is a two-time Oscar-winning actor for supporting roles in both Green Book and Moonlight. So we know this guy can act his butt off.
Fun
So
fact too, he played Cottonmouth in Luke Cage, which is a part of the Netflix Defenders series where Daredevil was introduced.
which will
Uh,
be interesting to see how they decide to tie in the Netflix series because we obviously have Matt Murdock, Daredevil in the show, and Kingpin, but that Kingpin seems to be different. So we'll see how they're plan if they're going to explain to us the connection between the original series because he's obviously been in both, which isn't necessarily a problem because there's
yeah,
been multiple
I don't
other
think
actors who have.
they're anywhere close to being the same character.
Well, yes,
You
but
know.
I'm saying he's playing two different characters in the
Right.
universe. So there's been multiple other actors in the MCU that have done that,
Yeah.
both canonically playing parts in the MCU, but the same actor.
Yeah. So right off the bat, something that's missing, no Avengers movie.
Yeah,
Again, two phases back to back with no Avengers movie. Um, I
not
think this phase is cool, but it definitely isn't as good as the last one, I think. Um,
and not just two phases, but two long phases because they're
yeah,
pumping out the content for
I
the
think
machine.
Spider-Man No Way Home was kind of the
Avengers movie.
Avengers level movie of the phase four. Yeah,
Yeah,
phase four.
it was kind of like we got two half Avengers movies with Far From Home and Multiverse of Madness because
Yeah,
now I would have said the same thing for Thor: Love and Thunder as well, but the Guardians really had small presence in it, so not much overlap with the extended universe and other movies for that
yeah.
movie.
They weren't like a main driver in the story of the movie at
I
all.
expected them to be in it more, to be honest, but
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
kind of glad they weren't because then they might have been ruined for me.
you hate that movie so much. But I think that Avengers or ensemble movies in general are key to this story. I mean, Civil War proved that we don't need it to be an Avengers movies to pull everyone into the same movie and tie everything together. That's why I mean, I feel like that's why so many people would say they love Phase 3 because it's a true culmination of bringing everyone in the universe together
Yeah.
for a bunch of movies.
And that phase in phase three, it didn't seem overdone either. You know, it seemed like everyone got like it didn't feel forced.
Yeah.
Everyone got appropriate screen time. Everyone's character developed the way that it felt like it should have. You
Because
know.
Civil War, the events of Civil War lead into the events of Infinity War, which lead into the events of Endgame. It's
Yeah.
just, it was really well
There
planned.
was a cause and a reaction to
Yeah.
everything that happened. You know, it didn't feel like anything was disconnected from the other.
But now it seems like we're looking at a lot of solo movies and TV shows. Not necessarily solo movies, because a lot of these portray multiple characters. As I'm saying that, I'm reading the Marvels, so
Yeah,
can't
and then
exactly.
you have Ant-Man and Wasp
Yeah,
as well.
but it's contained within their story. We're not crossing over stories the way that Civil War crosses over storylines and
Hmm.
crosses Black Panther into Bucky's storyline, which then we have Captain America and Bucky's storyline crossing into Iron Man's storyline because of his parents' death. It's This is different because Ant-Man and the Wasp already live in the same storyline.
Right, right. Um, I don't. What's one that you're least looking forward
Really worried about Daredevil, which is
to?
I'm not saying
So you're not looking forward to it?
not that I'm least
I'm at least interested.
I'm very interested. I'm gonna watch it and I hope it's great. I guess
For
the
me, it's Agatha coming to chaos. Did we need that?
I mean, I really like the actress, and I think it'll be an entertaining show. But um, it's kind of like them spending time on Craven the Hunter, which I think Craven the Hunter is interesting, and I love Aaron Taylor Johnson, but I wasn't like begging for a Craven the Hunter movie or so.
Yeah,
It's kind of the same feeling.
yeah. What else do I got here? Oh, so there's, to me, four of these projects that stick out where we haven't been introduced to any of these characters within the MCU. Some of them we have been with other movies. But we have the Secret Invasion, Blade, Ironheart, and Thunderbolts. Now we are going to get our first introduction to Ironheart in the next Black Panther. But other than that, we don't really know too much about the other shows. So I kind of want to dive in to like what the general concept of those are, and then maybe our thoughts.
Yeah, let's touch on them a little bit. I'm gonna gloss over. We'll start with Secret Invasion. I'll tell you the general premise and hit me with what you think of that idea.
All right.
TV show concept. So, for Secret Invasion, we've already established the Skrulls in the universe with Captain Marvel, this alien race that can take the form of another being, and essentially they can step into their lives and replace them because they have the ability to have access to some of their memories and because they can perfectly replicate their physical appearance. So that is what we're going to be looking at, and they've hinted at it quite a bit by showing us Nick Fury on the space station with the Skrulls at the end of Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Which kind of looked like he was building what Shield was for the world, but now for like the states and stuff, and now for the universe.
Yeah, so I believe what he's building is essentially an advanced version of the helicarrier. It's a sword base.
Mm-hmm.
So the sword base that will be floating somewhere in space and probably being used to protect Earth now that we have, been made painfully aware of the threats that face us out there in the universe
Yeah,
because of
how
Thanos.
small we are.
Yeah. So Nick Fury, I don't think likes feeling powerless, so he's working on that. But Secret Invasion is going to most likely be the storyline of the comics, which I believe is the Skrulls kind of invading and worming their way into taking control over Earth in kind of an Illuminati-esque type of way where they're assuming these roles and positions, taking over people's lives and assuming positions of power in big corporations or in the government. And I assume we'll be seeing Nick Fury trying to bring a stop to this.
Mm.
So it could be very interesting, espionage thriller kind of storyline that we'll be looking at.
I would be very excited if they take that approach, kind of keeping it like in Nick Fury's like scope of spy and stuff. I hope they don't turn him into a superhero like they did Black Widow.
Well, I'm getting my own hopes up even thinking about this. But if you think about the segment of Captain America: The Winter Soldier where Nick Fury puts on display his skills as a spy, and they come at him like with a wet team with like machine guns, and they're
Yeah.
hitting his car, and we see what he can do. If that is what's on display in this show, that would be very exciting.
Yes. Hopefully he doesn't fall from a five-story building, landing on
Bounce
his
up on his
feet.
feet.
Tell me about Blade.
Okay, so Blade, you haven't seen the original
I have not.
trilogy, so you're missing out. Blade,
I'll watch it before this comes out for sure.
as a concept, he is half human, half vampire. So I believe his mother is a human, his father is a vampire. So unlike most vampires, he is not turned and he is not fully vampire. So he is born from a human woman. And I believe in the movie, his mother dies giving birth to him. But he, and because of this, he's called a daywalker, which, come on, great name. So most of the vampires in that storyline can't walk in the sun, but he's half human, so he can. So he has the enhanced strength, speed, reflexes of a vampire. He carries a sword and guns, and he fights vampires because vampires feed on humans. So he's this really cool concept of a foot in both worlds, not feeling like he belongs in either, and fighting the forces of evil, just with his sword and his guns. And it's traditionally a very bloody, very dark story. Now that
Because the original trilogy was rated R, right?
rated R, and now that we're getting a Disney version, I'm sure, like I said, it'll be PG-13, but that doesn't mean it has to be not good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that
You can have dark PG-13 movies.
Yeah.
Like the Batman. That was
Yeah,
PG-13.
they have a guy signed onto this movie, Ali. don't think he seems like the type of person to sign on to a role just for the paycheck.
Yeah.
So I think he must see something in this. Hopefully, he sees something in the script because I know the character is strong. I know the actor is strong. So the main things that are left are like the script and the directing and filmmaking, which I have a lot of faith in. I think that it'll be strong.
Um, that doesn't look like it's getting picked up, so we're good.
Okay.
Um, I forget my thought now.
So you were gonna say something about Blade?
Oh, I think Blade sounds really interesting, and it seems like it'd be paired well with Deadpool. Um, seems like they have a similar kind of tone
Yeah.
to them. Um, tell me about Ironheart.
So Ironheart is um, going to be a new character to the MCU. Her actual name is Riri Williams. Tripped up on that saying it too fast. So Riri
Okay.
is a young genius. You know, she in the comic she tests as a super genius,
She's
really
like
young.
15, right?
Yeah, so she's around 15, depending on the depiction. She's 15 or younger when she goes to college already. She's going to MIT, which we know is Tony Stark's alma mater from the movies we've already watched. So she's following in his footsteps in the comics. She kind of idolizes him, similar to the way in the comics that Miss Marvel kind of looks up to these heroes, but
Mm-hmm.
she really looks up to Tony Stark and she builds her own suit while she's still a teenager in college.
And she's a very new character,
In general.
even to the comic books created in 2016.
Yeah, the time frame where these characters are jumping from comic to the screen is getting shorter and shorter as time
Yeah,
goes
that's
on.
very fast.
Yeah, because it was really short for Miles Morales too,
Yeah.
and yeah, she's hopping right on there. So it sounds really interesting. In the comics, there's an AI version of Tony Stark that kind of communicates with her and is kind of a guide to her the way he was a
Okay.
guide to our MCU's Peter Parker.
As
So
like a hologram or
yeah,
a voice.
I think a hologram, at least a voice, but he's uploaded his.
Do you think we might see
I think
Tony Stark?
I don't think
Robert
Robert
Downey
Downey
Jr.?
Jr. wants to come back for. I think if anything, we'd see a cameo, not like not coming back for a large role. I think that's the best I would
It's also a
expect.
TV show. Do you
Yeah,
see Robert Downey Jr. showing up for a TV show?
I think it would cheapen the death that they wrote as. I think I see
Well, I
Captain
mean,
America
even as a
coming back
hologram.
sooner before. Yeah, even as a hologram, I kind of think it
Yeah.
might. So
I'm totally fine with him the ending remaining the
yeah,
ending for his story.
I'd be excited to see him again, but we had a very impactful death
Right.
that we can leave.
Yeah.
We don't. You don't always have to go back and do the sequel or bring characters back to life.
Yeah.
You don't always have to do that.
It sounds interesting. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I really don't have much of a concept of what the actual plot of the show is going to be, what the villain or direction is going to be, but I mean, she seems like she'll be a very cool character for sure.
All right, Thunderbolts. That's the last one that we kind of really don't know too much about, but we've been introduced to some of the characters, right?
Yeah, so the research I've been looking at, there's a lot of people theorizing who's going to be in the Thunderbolts. I don't believe it's been officially announced,
Mm-hmm.
the cast of the Thunderbolts. Traditionally in the comics, it's a team of misfit um, villains brought together, kind of like the Suicide Squad, which we're more familiar with as an audience. So in the comics, it's Baron Zemo, who we know as the villain of Civil War. We've seen him just appear in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and fans like him. So I'm sure he'll be involved in some way in gathering the team together. But we have these people who are
That
normally.
lady in that.
She's been gathering people. It
Yeah.
seems
What's
like
her name? Do you remember?
I don't.
Me either. I'm terrible with names.
But she has spoken to um, she's spoken to John Walker. So our quote
Elena?
unquote
Elaine? How do you say her name?
Yelena. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
spoken to
Yelena.
Yelena. So that's our Black Widow counterpart. Um, and
She's the one who set her to target Hawkeye.
yeah, we've got a lot of characters though in the comics that are traditionally in the Thunderbolts. Like Abomination has been in the Thunderbolts. Even
Which
Luke.
was cool to see him in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, it was
It,
cool to see
it,
him
it
on
was kind of
camera.
like the first acknowledgement that the Incredible Hulk existed.
Yeah,
You
the
know?
first reference back. We're supposed to see him in some other upcoming projects here soon, but so Abomination could be in there. They could use Power Man or
And
Luke
that might
Cage.
kind of fill that void of the Hulk that we've been missing.
A
Maybe, you
really
know?
angry and
Yeah.
actual evil, super powered monster. Yeah, that'd be great. But also Punisher's been in it before. We really don't know,
And we
but
know he's coming back.
um,
That was leaked.
John Bernthal, I believe, said he wouldn't come back unless they do it rated R. So hopefully that means we're getting rated R Punisher again. But it could be a whole host of different people. It's kind of up to what they want to do. I mean, they look like they're establishing a Young Avengers team
Hmm.
with people like our new Hawkeye. It looks like we're getting
Yeah.
um,
Kate Bishop,
Kate Bishop, Hawkeye.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man would likely be involved in a Young Avengers. We've got Wanda Maximoff's two sons who are traditionally in the Young Avengers, so they're likely have established a lot of characters they want to use already for the Thunderbolts and the Young Avengers team
Yeah.
ups, and those will probably be our new team up series and movies that are on the horizon, along with the Avengers we know to be in Phase 6. But it's up in the air. Hopefully, we get to see a cool team of villains go out there and cap off Phase 5 with, some destruction.
Yeah, and a different twist, like
Yeah.
MCU hasn't really followed villains across more than like one movie besides Thanos, really.
And Miss Marvel 2 will probably be in the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
I just thought of that too.
Um, okay, we just mentioned Phase 6. We only have three confirmed projects of Phase 6. We got Fantastic Four, which seemed to be a pretty big announcement, but we don't have any casting for it. And then we have two Avengers movies, which hopefully will make up for the past two phases without an Avengers movie.
Talk about three bangers of
Yeah,
an announcement.
hopefully Fantastic Four is a banger because the first ones again I enjoyed, but they're kind of more of like you put on the show and you do something else
Yeah.
while you're watching it, And then the remake of it was,
I couldn't even watch through it, but
yeah,
I will
I
say
don't
that
remember any of it.
I
I
really
remember it wasn't that great.
I really enjoyed the first two Fantastic Four movies
They were fun.
as what they are, as
Yeah,
blockbuster films that are
right,
fun.
right.
I'm not, it's not The Dark Knight, but not every movie is The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
So
The Avengers, Kang Dynasty, who we were introduced in Loki, and then we have that followed up by Avengers: Secret Wars.
we're gonna get a lot more to know about Kang as well in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yes.
He should be the main antagonist of that movie. So we're gonna learn a lot more about him, which is great because Thanos was in the background of the MCU for a long time
Yep.
before he was
Like
our
11
main
years
villain.
or
Yeah.
something like that.
So we want some development for this character too before he's, facing off against the Avengers.
Yeah, it's cool too that this main antagonist of the Avengers is not a CGI character. That's kind of cool.
I like the actor, who we're going to be seeing as Kang. I think he's going to do a good job. I think he's going to expand on his role.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
We saw him in Loki, and that's kind of what I know about him.
Yeah. There's been a lot of projects that weren't announced, but we know that are coming too. We know there's a Deadpool 3, but we don't know where that's going to fit in necessarily. What else has been kind of speculated that's going to come out, but we don't have any. We haven't heard anything from X-Men, but we know that they're going to be within the MCU. I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of like a Phase 7 kind of thing,
Yeah, it's like a lot of planning to cast a lot of those roles well. So
Yeah, and like how they're gonna fit that and intertwine that in. We know that there's an X-Men, was it 97, 96, an X-Men show coming out, animated series.
yeah, they're also doing, I believe, additional season of X-Men. You said Avengers 97 or you said X-Men 97?
X-Men, that's what I just
Okay.
said. What
Yeah.
did
No, yeah. So that's the OG animated series that everybody loves. So
Yeah,
yeah, we're getting
I've
another
never
season
seen
of
it.
that.
You?
I've seen episodes here and there, but I just know that's like the
The show, yeah.
viewed as like a pinnacle of superhero shows.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be in the same animation, which is cool.
We're also getting Spider-Man the freshman year
Yes, the
with
show.
the animated
But
TV series, but
hasn't been announced of when.
yeah.
Uh,
So it's a huge overflow of content, and while we've gone down this long list, we did want to talk about the quality to quantity ratio and the amount of content. So what do you think about Marvel's plan right now?
So whenever I'm making something, right, whether it's a show or short film or even comics or whatever. I like the approach of having everything be at the highest quality possible. So if you're going to put in 100% quality to everything, you can't do as many projects, right? Obviously, on a much smaller scale than the MCU. Not by much. We're pretty close. We're comparable.
Almost there.
Yeah, we're comparable, but they've got me beat as of right now. um, but I think I would prefer the quality over quantity, and it seems right now they're going for the quantity. Kind of pumping out a bunch of content.
I mean, there's a
Not
lot of
saying that it's
incentive.
all, yeah, for sure. Not saying that it's all low quality. It's just not the same as the first few phases were. And it's pretty much from the shows.
I have such a hard time with because I feel the way I feel and I agree with you, but there's so many people who are upset with people feeling this way, and I see why, with people being disappointed with Phase 4, which I don't know that I'd say I'm quite disappointed with Phase 4, but I would definitely say what you said, that it doesn't feel the same. I mean, we're coming off Phase 3. We're coming off of a huge peak of the series of Avengers Endgame, so it's a lot to live up to. And I think that they're putting in a lot of effort still, but it's just the same percentage isn't there when you watch each project. The percentage of quality is being diluted because I believe it's because there's so much quantity.
Yeah, and it's not like it's been diluted by that much. Everything that they're putting out is still.
I mean, we wouldn't be watching it if it was
Yeah,
diluted by that much. We're all still
exactly.
watching it, so
Exactly.
it's kind of interesting to watch every single thing that they produce and complain.
Yeah.
You're watching everything that they
I'm
produce.
definitely
You must
excited
enjoy
for the
it.
new storylines.
Yeah,
I just really hope they don't mess up Daredevil.
that's what I'm. Hey, I've been saying. Yeah.
So,
But I mean, I think that they're putting out a lot. The shows I think are the biggest thing. I personally wouldn't find it the end of the world if they just didn't decided to stop doing the shows. If they gave Daredevil a movie instead of shows, I would be perfectly happy with
I would
that.
almost prefer that, I think.
With the way things work here, I agree.
Yeah.
It would fit better into
And
them.
I would also like a Moon Knight movie. I feel like the show did a really good job of capturing his story, but didn't do as good of a job of showing us the action
I think
that
a movie,
comes along with it.
there's nothing I've seen them do with the shows that I didn't think could have been handled better in a movie.
Yeah.
But it would have been more expensive and time
Right.
consuming to handle
Right.
it.
Even though they have some pretty heavy budgets for these shows. I'm pretty sure WandaVision was the most expensive TV show ever made.
Interesting. Well, I think
I
that
don't
was
have the numbers on me.
I think
but
that was probably the best produced show. Not that it was my favorite, but I think it was the most probably well done.
I
From
think they
objective.
had to have that one be really
It was the first
good
one.
quality to like kind of capture people. And like Christopher Nolan, one of your favorite directors, one of his first movies that he like made by himself, he was talking in an interview about when you're making a short film kind of on your own, you don't have a big budget, you have to make sure your opening and your closing is really good. And then everything in the middle will kind of be filtered out. And since you started really strong, you captured everyone, and then you ended really strong, everything else feels like it was the same quality because you left thinking, oh, it started great and ended great, and it was all this quality. So I think they kind of went with that approach on their first TV show.
The first part of a movie or show is important to whether people are gonna watch it, and the end of it is important to whether they're gonna like it.
Right.
That's how I view it.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to end this episode with a little game. I have 5 quotes from the MCU, and I want to see if you can guess who said the quote and what movie it's from. Okay, so there's a lot of movies, and there's even more characters, so it's going to be pretty tough, but you're pretty good at quotes and memorizing who said what. So, first one, you ready?
Yep. Go ahead, fire.
I don't want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies.
So that's said by Captain America, and I would say that he says that in Captain America: The First Avenger, 1000%.
Correct. All right. That one was pretty easy.
Okay.
I don't want you not to get any of this. That wouldn't be a fun game.
I mean,
Right?
I deserve a softball. Come on.
All right. This one's cool. I was meant to be new. I was meant to be beautiful. The world we've looked, the world we've looked to the sky and seen hope, seen mercy. Instead, they'll look up in horror because of you.
That I believe is said in Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Instead, they'll look up in horror because of you. Man, I thought it was said by Ultron. Can you say it for me one more time?
Yeah. I was meant to be new. I was meant to be beautiful. The world would have looked up into the sky and seen hope, seen mercy. Instead, they'll look up in horror because of you.
Ultron in Avengers 2.
Ding, 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 ding. He's saying that to Black Widow when he captured her. And then he's like, he goes on to say another good line, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as he like
Breaks the other one in half.
rips. Yeah.
I feel like that is like one of my forgotten scenes from that movie. The talk they have down in that like whatever that dungeon is where he's building the
Yeah. It made him seem at that point like, man, how are they going to stop him?
Yeah.
You know, because he just has machine and machine and he's in all of them. So that was a cool part of it. Ready?
Yeah.
Third one. Ain't no thing like me except me.
It's so crazy how all of them are so familiar. Ain't no thing like me except me.
I think this one might stump you a little bit, but I think you'll be like, ah, as soon as I tell you. So,
Say it for me
first
again.
thoughts. Ain't no thing like me except me. Who do you think said it? What movie do you think that's in? First two thoughts. What you got?
I need this. I need the cameras. The camera's dying right now.
No.
I just need time. I just need time. I know that I
You
know
don't.
that
You don't have time.
I know this one.
Give me a guess.
Um,
Ain't no thing like me except me.
it's somebody strong. Um, is it said? I I don't have a guess right now. I need time. I need time to think.
Would it be better if I told you or if I came back to it?
Come back to it.
All right. So I would do whatever I wanted to do with whoever I wanted to do it was said by Black Widow in Iron Man 2. So you said Captain America in The Winter Soldier.
could not have been more wrong.
Yeah. That they were talking about his birthday and he was dying, right? Yeah, because he had that like little thing on his neck and whatnot. That was Iron Man 2.
Wait, the last quote. Um, ain't nothing like me except me. That I 100% know. Rocket Raccoon says that in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He does indeed. Volume 1. Good job. That was good. So far, you've only gotten one wrong. You had to skip one, but that's better than I would do for sure. I still believe in heroes for our last quote of the day.
Ah, I still believe in heroes. I feel like somebody's saying it to Captain America, but I don't feel like it's Captain America saying it. I still believe in heroes.
A lot of these quotes aren't like anything super big, you know, like they're kind of smaller quotes
Yeah.
within like good movies. This one I feel like is a relatively iconic quote, you know, but I'm interested to see who you think it is.
I'm gonna go with Captain America.
Captain America? What movie?
I'm gonna say. I feel like this is said maybe in Civil War. I'm less. I feel like Civil War.
It is not. And it's not Captain America.
Gosh, what is it? Who says it?
Nick Fury in the original Avengers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. I think that's in the around the same scene when he like throws the cards on the table right after Coulson's death, and like I still believe in. Yeah.
I am ashamed. I'd like to apologize to everyone that believed in me.
Hey, only what, 2 wrong?
Yeah. Out of what? 6?
Out of 5.
5.
So
Could have been better.
that's pretty good.
I'll do better next time.
All right, cool. This was definitely like sprung on you. So you did good under pressure. Any last thoughts for the MCU as a whole, or
No matter how much of a cynic I may sound like, I'm very excited for the future and the expansion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm grateful for all the entertainment they've provided me and will continue to provide. How about you?
yeah, I couldn't agree more. These are the main movies that I go to the theaters for, over the last decade or whatnot.
They help breathe life
So,
into the movie theater world. I mean,
yeah,
Regal Cinemas is dying right now. They're about to declare bankruptcy. So
yeah,
we need film to stay alive, and if it has to stand on the back of superhero movies, then let's
so
do
be
it.
it.
So thanks everyone for watching or listening on whatever platform. We hope that you will like, comment, subscribe, follow.
We got TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then all the podcast apps that are out there. We appreciate you guys listening, all three of you, and
Two of
we're
them are us. Anybody who wants to request a topic or anything like that, we'd be interested to engage with anybody who's listening. So,
yeah. All right. Again, we're posting every Monday and Thursday, so we'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.
goodbye.